Brought to you by GTG Education. Today we'll be exploring the play through the PACT method: plot, atmosphere, character, and themes. To help you break down the key elements of this powerful story, whether it's understanding Prospero's control or the island's magic, this method will make it easier to grasp Shakespeare's intentions. Plus, for those looking for extra support, we offer tuition sessions on request. Be sure to follow the links and subscribe to our YouTube channel for more tips and advice on acing your English literature exams. Now let's dive in. Our focus will be on the key moments in the plot and how they contribute to Shakespeare's overall themes. By the end of this session, you'll hopefully have a better understanding of how the story unfolds and how to approach a GCSE-style question on this topic. Now let's get started. We are going to break the Tempest down into 5 essential plot points. Firstly, the play opens with a fierce storm created by Prospero in order to shipwreck his enemies on the island. Now, as the plot develops, we see his internal struggle between seeking revenge and choosing forgiveness. We also look at how the romance between Miranda and Ferdinand symbolizes reconciliation, and examine the subplot involving Caliban's conspiracy against Prospero. Finally, we arrive at a resolution where forgiveness triumphs, and these points will help frame our deeper discussion. Into Act 1, Scene 1, where the storm starts the action in motion. We'd like to make sure that you read this scene, so you can be reading this as part of a group, or you can read this part individually. Now, as you're reading, try to pay close attention to how Shakespeare uses language to build tension and create an atmosphere of chaos. Remember, you're looking for specific quotes that link to this idea. After the reading, have a discussion about the symbolic meaning of the storm and how it might reflect Prospero's emotional state. Again, it might be interesting to think of links and find those links between what he says about the storm and what he says about his personal feelings. What role does power play in this opening scene? If you're watching this as a video, feel free to pause at this moment while you read through the text. Is a very quick plot quiz, and it tests your recall of some of these key plot points. Here are the questions, and also if you have a look at the screen there, you should be able to copy and paste the link to a form which provides you with a multiple choice questionnaire on this topic. So, look at the questions carefully. Who encounters the magic first? What is Prospero's relationship with Ariel and Caliban? And these questions will help reinforce the structure of the plot before we move on to a more in-depth analysis. GCSE-style question to help you practice those essay writing skills. The question is, how does Shakespeare use the plot of The Tempest to explore the theme of forgiveness? Now, in your answer, you'll want to summarize some of the key events, like Prospero's initial desire for revenge, then analyze how his actions evolve throughout the play. Remember to connect these events to the theme of forgiveness, especially in the final act when Prospero chooses mercy over revenge. On the screen, you'll see a very basic outline of an essay. You have the structure here, which obviously you need to go into much more detail, but a very brief summary of it in terms of our guidance would be, in your introduction, you'll summarize the plot's key events. It's never too early to introduce your knowledge of the character and themes. In your first paragraph, you want to do an analysis of how Prospero's desire for revenge drives the plot. And again, you would have to show knowledge from the beginning, the middle, and the end of the play. So you're trying to find at least 3 examples of how the plot is driven or events are driven by Prospero's desire for revenge. Whether that desire changes later on, that might also be something interesting to write about. In your second paragraph or second section, you would want to discuss moments where Prospero begins to question that revenge. So, where do we first come across him perhaps thinking differently, perhaps beginning to consider some sort of reconciliation? And of course, this will lead to his final act of forgiveness. And then, in your conclusion, you would want to explain how the resolution of the plot emphasizes Shakespeare's message about forgiveness. So, again, this might be an overall point that you want to make, that Shakespeare is creating a message of forgiveness, that the character of Prospero is meant to embody this forgiveness. You may have a different opinion. Remember, it's very important that you express your own personal ideas about Shakespeare's intention and what the characters represent, as well as sharing your knowledge and understanding that's been gained from lessons. Something that's quite useful for group work, working on the subplots. So try and analyze. If you are in a group, you would want to do this, separately. But if you are working as an individual, this could simply be an extended piece of work. So you're analyzing the different subplots, such as Caliban's rebellion or the romance between Miranda and Ferdinand. And what you want to do is discuss how these subplots connect to the main story. How do they contribute to the overarching themes of power and control? And again, if you're working as a group, you'll present those findings to the class and share them. If you're working as an individual, you'll simply share your different points to the teacher. Each of these subplots, you're asking yourself these three questions. How does this subplot connect to the main story? How are themes, or what themes are explored through this subplot? And how does the subplot then contribute to the overall play's resolution? And again, you've got two possible subplots to focus on: Caliban's rebellion involving the ridiculous Trinculo, or the romance between Miranda and Ferdinand. Now, we'll examine how characters drive the plot. So we've looked at how Prospero's revenge might drive the plot. Now we're looking at how the different characters drive the plot. Think about Prospero's manipulation of events through his magic. How does his control shape the outcome of the story? What role does the subplot between Miranda and Ferdinand play in the larger narrative? Try to take a moment to match some of these key moments in the plots to certain characters and perhaps discuss their significance. Next up, let's have an open discussion about what drives the plots of The Tempest. How do themes like power and control influence the actions of the characters? Why does Prospero ultimately choose forgiveness over revenge? These are key questions to consider when writing about the play. For homework, I'd like you to write a short response to this question. What event in the plot of The Tempest do you think is the most important, and why? Be prepared to share your thoughts in our next lesson. This activity will help you solidify your understanding of the plot and prepare you for essay-style questions. Thank you for listening, and again, if this seems a little bit confusing or too rushed, remember this is just a short video to help support your understanding of The Tempest. It's no substitute for one-to-one teaching, whether that's in a classroom or with a face-to-face tutor, or perhaps engaging GTG education with our online classes. In that way, we're able to explain things in a bit more depth, a bit more detail, and provide you that guidance to helping you get closer to acing your English literature. Thank you very much for listening. Like and subscribe, and we'll see you soon.